Motivation is the mechanic which determines how much buffs or penalties a hero brings to your faction. First off, doesn't matter what faction you play, your main hero has no motivation. Recruited heroes do have motivation. Each hero has a trait. Some of them are elitists, some of them are opulent, some of them are warlike. What you need to know is he, when recruited, will have a motivation between 2 and 2. So his motivation will be pretty much 2. It is important though that you have a look at the trait and you check how he gains motivation and how he loses motivation, since there are some powerful buffs to your faction. This guy gains motivation after he wins a battle, but not as part of a reinforcing army. This guy also gains motivation after this hero ends a turn in an owned province with organized games. He loses motivation after this hero loses a battle, and he loses 1 motivation if this hero ends a turn in an owned province with negative populace, which means happiness in the minus. That being said, this guy is at motivation 10. These are the maximum buffs for your faction from a hero. Plus 3 happiness to the local province. Plus 20 to moral of hero. Plus 50 to generated rage in battle. Plus 10% campaign movement range. These are mighty buffs for basically not much. So how did he gain plus 10? He is a trooper, thus plus 1 to motivation after this hero takes on captives, and plus 1 motivation after this hero wins a battle. So basically every time we have fought, won, and then taking over the replenishment, we've gained 2 motivation. So he does not like when Aphrodite is respected within my faction. She's not. Everything is fine. He does not like -2 motivation after signing a peace treaty with a neighboring faction. We didn't. Don't mind. That being said, these are very powerful buffs. If his motivation is at 0, you gain no buffs, but also no penalties. This one is motivation -10. This is the maximum amount of penalties. -8 happiness to the local province. -30 to moral of hero. -60% to generated rage in battle. -30% to campaign movement range. So the penalties are higher than the buffs. It is worth to keep these guys in check. He is competitive. He gains motivation after winning a battle with no reinforcements, +2, +1 motivation after this hero ends turn and Ares is respected by a faction. He does not like -2 motivation after a battle in which this hero was either reinforced or being reinforced, -1 motivation after this hero ends up and Aphrodite is respected by a faction. We have a problem. We do respect Aphrodite in this faction. While he sits there and basically just keep these guys at bay, he is gaining minus motivation. Thus, when you gonna get yourself a new hero, check those traits. Sometimes it is just a self-made thing. Alcomedon, for example, he is a defender and he would gain +1 motivation after this hero ends turn and Aphrodite is respected by your faction. So if he would do the job the -10 guy does currently, he would actually gain motivation by doing nothing. The second thing is +1 to motivation if this hero ends up in our own province with positive populace. So we get him at +2 motivation. If we're gonna switch him out by doing this, we kick him out. We're gonna take him in.
I've got what it takes.
We have him. We are A in the green +2, and we know because he is compassionate that he will gain +2. A, we have seen already that Aphrodite is respected. He likes that. And the other one is, well, right now not yet, but as soon as we are in the plus again, he gains motivation. So What I say is he just sits there and gains motivation. That being said, take your effing time to check those traits. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're effing ridiculous, and sometimes, well, you gotta check if those traits are actually aligned with what you want to do with that hero/army. We have seen that there are some powerful buffs, but also can be pretty bad in terms of penalty. If you want to check your current hero's motivation level, you don't need to do that. You don't need to go into the menu every time. You can click on the hero and then you go to the bottom left and there's a tiny little ring, in this case with an 8. If you hover over it, it tells you the current motivation is 8 and what it does. In this case, +2 happiness, 50 moral, 20% generated rage, 5% to campaign movement range. How to gain motivation otherwise? One thing is you're gonna equip him with something that gives him motivation. Petassos gives him +2 motivation. Ego Sandals, campaign movement range and +2 motivation. So if you're a little bit in the minus and you do have some items and or followers which grants you motivation, switch him to where you need them and then you have a head start. Or on a new guy, you recruit him, in the same turn you give him all the items you want him to have, maybe push him immediately up to 10, and next turn you can actually gain all the buffs already. There are a lot of items which grants motivation. If I'm not mistaken, there are equipment as well, +1 motivation, +2 motivation, and all the other stuff. So you can gain motivation by the equipment, by the followers and items, as well as what the green part wants. And looking at the green part does and looking at what the red part does is the most important thing to check when you're gonna go for a new general. Sometimes that means you can't get the guy you actually want, but remember the good buffs. It's worth to check. This has been motivation within exactly 1 minute. If you have a topic which you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, do all them YouTube stuffs. Guys, wherever you are, do have a nice one. Goodbye.